God,
I
the
like
number
all
of
that lore.
times that I get questions about the Goat Man on TikTok.
Who's
I have
the
to
Goat Man?
I have to explain to people that that is not actually part of anybody's, like, any culture's folklore. Like,
here it is. So, are you talking about the goat man who used to come down out of the mountains down here in Georgia with the goat? wagon?
No, you guys have a Goat Man, and Maryland has a Goat Man, and Texas has a Goat Man, and I'm like, people think it's like some Native American legend, and I'm like, not quite. Like,
No.
it's not quite
No,
where that
Just
comes
a
from.
bleeding man.
Like,
No. It's a man with a wagon
Yeah.
led by goats who lived up in the mountains, and he'd come down to town, in the spring, get his stuff, supplies for the rest of the year, and then he'd goat on back home. Man.
Goat.
And that he doesn't sound like much. He doesn't seem very sinister.
Well, he's not at all. People would come out and the goat man's coming.
Yeah, see,
Everybody look.
Oh,
That's the thing. The Maryland one is like supposed to be a monster, and so is the Texas one. Yeah, no,
Well, it's
they're
just a
asking
kindly
about.
old man down here in Georgia.
No,
He
that's
comes-
not the same thing I'm getting asked about.
There's pictures of him. He's a nice.
are there any of these regional ghouls, goblins, monsters that you're like, oh, that's real, but it's a serial killer?
There's certain things that I am open to, or at least open to the possibility that there was a legitimate version of it sometime in the past. One of the most interesting ones that I've come across is the Wendigo, which is a Algonquin legend, and essentially it's built around the idea that when somebody commits an act of cannibalism out of desperation or greed, something along those lines, that they transform into this demonic entity that has a constant craving for human flesh. And the Native American legends on it vary from it's just a person who is a cannibal to it's a legitimate monster. But that's one where I'm like, I feel like this has its roots in something real.
Well, we've seen it twice in modern times. We saw the guy in Florida who attacked that man, beat him to the ground, and for 17 minutes ate his face until the police showed up.
But wasn't he on
And
bath salts?
That's what
No,
everyone
he was
said.
sober.
That's what everyone said. Stone cold sober. He had
Really?
trace amounts of THC from like weeks gone by.
Damn.
Sober. Then another guy that was also eating a man's face and snarling naked, and unrelated event, different place in the country, and the police were trying to stop him, and they put the canine unit on him, and he still continues to eat the man's face. And at one point, he looks up at the police officers, growls, and says, "Kill me, I'm eating people." They eventually beat him off the man, and the man's face was eaten off, and he's in prison. These are both real stories.
They should have taken him to the hospital.
I'm sure they did
They
that.
did.
Oh.
That guy in Florida, like Zach, try to find the guy in Florida, the victim, because his face looks exactly like from that Hannibal Lecter movie. Remember?
Oh yeah, when he's
Mr. Verger. That was the character's name.
Oh.
Where his face had been peeled off and fed to the dogs. Looks like that.
I'm gonna
guy.
feed you to my dogs, and he
Oh,
like
the
talks
pigs.
all weird. My
Yeah.
pigs. I didn't really practice the voice before I started the character.
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
this is what happens when a Wendigo gets you in Florida.
Oh.
Yeah. That's one of those legends that I'm like, I feel like this could have come out of something real. Skinwalkers
That's enough
are
of
another
that.
one.
I just wanted a glimpse.
Skinwalkers
It's like
are another
cleavage,
one
just-
where it's
Yep.
they're like there is a real tradition associated with the idea of being a skinwalker. Whether or not people can actually transform into animals and travel the astral plane is up to you to decide if you want to believe it.
I've decided on that one. What I think is that they will eat your face in Florida, but no on the astral plane thing.
Yeah. So there's things like that I think probably have their roots in something real. And then of course there's the missing 411 phenomenon, which there's some of those cases where like, yeah, that person probably just got lost, but there's other ones where it's like, if everyone involved in this is telling the truth, then some weird shit happened here. And so I'm one of those people who like, I don't know that I believe in any specific version of a supernatural kind of thing, but I am open to the existence of things we don't yet understand.
I usually lean when I've got all the facts and it still just really doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I start questioning the things that were told to me by people and weren't evidentiary. Because I remember there's one where a lady lost a toddler in the woods. She had like 3 kids with her. And I think this might be from Wendigo's channel. She's got like 3 kids with her, you know, stepped up from the ages a year each.
I think
and one of them's real little. She turns her back for like 20 seconds. Kid's gone.
I think I was in that video.
They searched the woods, like you might have been. They searched the woods.
It's the missing 411, yeah.
She goes back, like we never find this kid again. And it's like, did a stranger come in, wait until she turned her back, snatch the kid, and then sprint away to a car waiting somewhere? That's far-fetched. What's more likely to me is that mother didn't like that kid, and or maybe like through her like incompetence somehow, that kid got killed or something. And her way of it is like, oh, we lost Tommy in the woods. I'd want to know, did anybody else see Tommy in the woods that day? When's the last time anybody else saw Tommy? Are we sure he made it to the woods?
I have one of those. We did a documentary. It's called Into Thin Air, the case of Tom Messick. It's on our YouTube channel, The Lore Lodge. But we drove up to Brant Lake, which is where this guy was when he went missing. 82-year-old, I think, paratrooper veteran, but blind in one eye, had hearing damage in one ear. He and his three of his buddies, and I think they're like three of their sons, went out hunting. And as the story goes, basically they left him. They spread out in a line. The older guys were basically waiting. They were the watchers while they had other people pushing game towards them. I guess that's a normal hunting technique. I don't hunt, but from what I'm told, that's perfectly normal. And they were out there for a few hours. And then when they decided to pack it in and go back to the camp, Tom Messick, the older guy, was just gone, nowhere to be found. And they fully searched the area. Nobody found anything whatsoever. And as far as the story goes, it really sounds like this guy just vanished into thin air, which is where we got the name, but with no explanation. So we drove up there because David Politis tells this story in a certain way, and we were like, we want to get the whole story. We want to really dig in, talk to people up there, go to where he went missing, not just take somebody else's word for it. And a bunch of people up there told us, like, we don't think he was ever here. Like we think he like there was an accident somewhere else, or he fucked off to Cancun, whatever. And we just don't think he was ever there. Or the other option was people said aliens. But yeah, there's these stories where like a lot of the times where somebody goes missing like that, it seems like the possibility is that they were never even there. And that's why the missing
part of my brain will be
strange.
led. It's really easy to lead me to that place to take a little leap of faith and be like, hey, you're connecting the dots here. Maybe their mob could have been, maybe they came and got him. Okay, I can see that. But like, whenever you're saying that like a child went missing, I start thinking of all the reasons people have for getting rid of children, how often it happens. It was a famous one when I was a kid, when I myself was a child.
Ramsey?
Not that one. It was the one, I think in South Carolina, where this lady said she had lost control of her car and had gone into a lake with the child strapped inside and child had drowned. But she had done it on purpose. She had just strapped her kid in the car, put the car in neutral, and rolled her car into the lake and killed the kid.
And didn't think that they would notice the car was in neutral?
Well, look, I was a child at the time.
She wanted to pass it off as an accident.
Yeah,
I get that, but like that's such an easy thing to catch.
I mean, South Carolina, the judge is like, women drivers, am I right? Get on out of here, Sally.
All right, you owe me one high five. Get the hell out of here.
It's South Carolina. So, but yeah, whenever I think that story in particular, the one where like, we brought the child here, we turned around for 30 seconds, the child went poof. We searched for an hour. We went back and got adults and teens and dogs. We surrounded the area. The helicopters hit the sky. The Amber Alerts. Every road was cut off. And you still didn't find the kid? When you tell me you brought a dog in and you lost a toddler still, all right, something happened. Somebody's lying. Dogs are really good at that. Like anybody who's got a dog, like try to put a treat in your pocket and like make it fast them, right? Like they'll track the kid down. Toddlers stink like shit. That little kid's getting drugged through the woods or walking himself, rubbing on everything, drooling, spitting, shitting. They found it. So someone took that kid.
That's one of the missing 411 profile
him.
points. That's one of the profile points for these cases is the dogs can't find them. And there's some cases where it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But a lot of these cases are kind of weird.
To me, that says that they're looking in the wrong place, which means that someone has lied. The person who pointed that way is the liar. The mom is saying, look over here, when really we should go back to like look for the blood in her basement because she let the kids play down there and one of them hit the other one in the head, pushing a shelf over, and she didn't want Tommy to go down for the murder of Billy, and so she's gotten rid of Billy. Like that's so much more believable, right? Like
it's more believable that it's some sort of that it's a cover up of a murder.
The ones that get me really are the ones where like there's other witnesses who were strangers the day these people met. Like for example, like the Dennis Martin case from 1969, Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Like the kid was playing with kids from another family and his brother. Like they were all around when this happened. Like this would have had to be like 20 people involved in this conspiracy to keep their mouths shut about this kid going missing. And then, he vanishes within like 5 minutes with from out next to his brother. His dad took his eyes off him for like 20 seconds. Yeah. And then they call in the Green Berets, and the Green Berets can't find this kid, which of course has led to a ton of like conspiracy theories about like, oh my God, the Green Berets, like, they went in there because they were hunting monsters or whatever. No, they were training nearby. Like they train in that area, but
it's not exactly the same, but I've seen kids, like parents take their eyes off them for a couple seconds and disappear like 200 times. Mm-hmm. And the reason is,
but they're usually within like 50 yards.
No, please go.
Bullshit. They're miles away.
Really?
And here's the scenario. I was a lifeguard on the beach for years. And it's just that. The kids are digging a hole. Parents take their eyes off them for a second. They start walking. The kid gets disoriented and he just keeps walking and walking and walking. 100% of the time they go downwind. It was like a predictable thing. Don't even look the other way. They walked with the wind at their back. That's the way they went. And we would just get on the radio, tell every lifeguard, and invariably, like 2 miles away, 4 miles away, somebody would return a crying child to the lifeguard. And then we'd be like, oh, yeah, they're looking for one of those on 17th Street. Was it a blonde? and I've literally like 200 times I've seen this. So the idea that a kid just like vanished when the dad took the eyes off him for a second isn't foreign to me in the slightest.
Oh, yeah. Step one is easily believable. It's like all the things that come after that. It's like, all right, so they were in a park and there weren't any people there. Like parking lot's covered. It's all everybody that was in that parking lot we know. So where'd the kid go? Like there's 50 miles of wilderness that way. The highway's this way. And that's they got to go past the people to get to the highway. So where'd he go? We searched that whole 50-mile area. The dogs, the tree, the Green Berets, and like nothing. And
the dogs make sense to me.
And then you start
why
thinking
wouldn't a dog
like
be able to find it.
A dog is that effective?
They have dogs. There are dogs that are bred for this. Like bloodhounds are bred to search out a specific scent. Like you give them
I'm aware of that.
They track
I just don't know how effective a dog is. I don't know.
They're pretty effective.
I would think that they would be good at like getting a person in the woods.
If they're dealing with a fresh tracks, my understanding is that dogs are extremely effective. If
it's within like a few hours, yeah.
If it knows what the kid smells like, they give the kid's hat or something or blanket or whatever. Like, especially the kid, right? He's like falling around everywhere. It's not like he's wearing sneakers, like sprinting through the woods.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of similar childlike smells in the woods. It's dealing with like discerning. Like I feel
dogs find missing people 10% of the time. I have one experience with dogs. Our house was robbed and the dog didn't do shit.
Well, see, that stat's not helpful though, because how often are dogs deployed when in the wrong area, right? How often is it the fault of the handler who put the dog in the wrong place? I could tell you that when dogs are used in areas where victims were actually present, they found the victim 90% of the time, but dogs are used ineffectively 90% of the time, unfortunately.
That's the problem with the statistic is like they'll bring dogs out in situations where there was never a chance the dog was ever going to find the person. Like either
square miles add up quickly. If I tell you that a 5-year-old can go 6 miles, all right, 6 miles in every direction, well, that's incalculable. No one knows what that is, but but it's a lot.
There was one kid, I'm struggling to remember his name right now. I think it was Keith Perkins. Maybe where Les Stroud from Survivor Man tried to track the same distance this kid went in the same period of time, and he couldn't do it. And they were like, and they found the kid, but the kid was so young he couldn't really describe what happened to him.
Is it pi squared? For the area of the circle?
Yeah.
IR squared?
No, it's
you just kind of get the gist.
Do you multiply the radius by pi?
Something like that, yeah.
37 square miles.
Pi r squared.
Was it pi r squared? Did I get it right?
That sounds right.
That's one of the things.
Pi times radius squared.
We've had to find the area of a fucking circle.
But yeah, there was this one kid. I'm trying to remember who it was.
It rocks. Never having to do math again.
Perkins. Keith Perkins sounds right, but he went like it was some ridiculous amount of like distance, like 12 miles in 24 hours or something like that.
I need to get it out. If the kid walks 6 miles in any direction, which I know it's probably downwind, but whatever. It's 113 square miles.
Now, what if he could have...
hard to find.
Yeah. What if we really mean any direction, though? Include the sky and the ground. Go. It's a sphere now.
Now it's incalculable once again.
Now we're getting into real shaped things. I didn't know how to do the.
We're accounting for mole people
Cubic
now.
miles?
We're accounting. Okay,
But 113 square miles is a lot of area to search.
It is.
Like if you're talking about like a body in the leaves.
One of the things they thought maybe a thunderbird came and grabbed the child and flew away with her.
A thunderbird, like
Yes, the mythical Native American giant birds who were not mythical at all. They existed, but you know the Indian stuff they call it
You
thunder,
can't
I guess.
disprove that.
But well, those birds existed, but they come down and they take the child away. They don't exist anymore. But it was either a thunderbird or maybe one of those reptilians who live under the ground. What are those called? The Doctor Who named them.
I don't know how much I believe about what we know about animals that used to be around. After some of the mistakes they've been making with dinosaurs, pretty foot and mouth embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because for a while, to keep us interested, they were finding like 6 bones and then arranging them in the absolute coolest possible way.
Yeah.
And they're like, look at this. And it's like, what? And then a few years later, oh, it's actually way smaller. Oh, actually, velociraptors aren't cool. They were the bitches of the dinosaur world. Oh,
Well, that's not because of paleontology. That's because of Jurassic Park.
It's all one thing.
yeah,
The paleontologists were like, no. And then
The paleontologists did have some things to say about the velociraptors. I will give them that.